I can look down for probably half a mile of open meadow, and this is not meadowland. This is wild river land.
Charles Cresswell's Blanco River home is located directly adjacent to the Fisher Store Road Bridge in Hays County, one of several bridges destroyed in the 2015 Memorial Day weekend flood.
I'll never forget that night. It was just overwhelming. It was dark, couldn't really see the river, but the roar was like nothing I've ever heard.
Bill Johnson's ranch is 28 miles downstream from the Fisher Store Road Bridge and bore the full effects of the Blanco flood.
Oh boy, this was in the deep woods, and now it's way out in the open. Almost all of the pecans of our pecan bottom down here are gone.
Back at the Fisher Store Road Bridge, Charles Cresswell worries that the loss of riparian vegetation contributed to the flood's destructiveness.
Upstream, there's only a few houses, so it's pretty wild. Downstream, it's the meadow.
People that have bought riverside and creekside property, they naturally want to enjoy it. They want to have access. Many times they want to make it look like their backyard.
At one point, we had a deck here as part of our manicured property.
When you manicure a riverside property, and then when the floodwaters come, there's no resistance.
And that's what I don't want to see here on the Blanco is this become just kind of a manicured floodway.
When it becomes property after property, mile after mile, it has a cumulative effect.
Cresswell, thanks to the flood, now sees the value of having taller, rougher, more resilient natural riparian plants to buffer his property from normal periodic flooding, giving the river the room it needs.
Rivers have to be given enough room to operate. They need room to meander. They need room to flood. They need those floodplains so that the slower water can get out and slow down and drop sediments.
Prior to the flood, Bill Johnson had been working with the Nature Conservancy to encourage growth of riparian plants on the banks of the Blanco. And even though the record 2015 flood peak did a lot of damage, Mother Nature will quickly restore the native vegetation, which will not only dissipate the energy of normal flood events, but will hold and store those floodwaters to provide continued stream flow during periodic droughts.
We're never going to probably be able to do anything to mitigate the kind of massive flood that they had on Memorial Day, but for the more common, normal type floods, land management makes a big difference.
Aside from displacing natural riverbanks with urbanized landscapes, the normal function of riparian areas can be adversely affected by man-made incursions, such as bulldozing upland terrain for residential and commercial development, poorly designed roadways and dams, allowing livestock to overgraze stream banks, as well as overgrazing and overbrowsing by native and exotic animals like white-tailed deer and axis deer, overpumping of wells dug into riparian water tables, and even too much human foot traffic. For the past 12 years, it's been illegal to drive recreational vehicles in freshwater stream beds in Texas, and the recovery has been readily apparent.
Laws were passed to prohibit that. The riparian area started to recover.
Sky Louie documented the recovery of one section of the Nueces River near her family's ranch, where, at the same time, they also restricted livestock access to the river.
We've spent no money. We stopped driving. We stopped grazing. We started to watch what came back.
We have to be patient. Nature's going to recover that area at her own timetable in her own way, and we think that it's best to accommodate that natural process of recovery.
That means not removing logs and organic debris that accumulates after floods, but leaving them as anchors and foundations for sediment collection and new colonies of riparian plants, bringing in or just letting native tall grasses, shrubs, and trees grow up and fill out. The result will not only be a functioning riparian area, but many would say a more aesthetically pleasing landscape.